It's a lot of talk right now and a lot of pledges, but pledges doesn't change the systems.
That's diversity advocate Keni Thacker on the current state of advertising. All that and more on this edition of the CMO Weekly. Hey everyone, I'm Mike Proulx and welcome to the very first episode of the CMO Weekly, bringing you trending marketing news and what it means for you. This week, it's all about Keni Thacker, the guy who wrote this article last July in The Drum. This past week, he spoke to my advertising students at Boston University, and here are a few clips from that conversation.
Minorities shouldn't be outpaced by their white colleagues by like 60 or 70% in leadership roles. That just is not cool. It's not fun. It's basically racism and segregation at the end of the day. People have this assumption that advertising is so liberal, and it's not. It's super conservative because the clients are conservative. Knowing that every time, there's a big announcement of someone with a big job, 9 out of 10 times or 10 out of 10 times, that person is white. But no one ever says, oh, hey, what's up? They know what they're doing. But somehow or another, when these black and brown bodies drop, now you care, which is stupid. Because they should have been caring, right? They can't put out statements about like, oh my God, Black Lives Matter, and then look at their staffing and say, well, wow, we're like 75% white, but Black Lives Matter somehow.
Where is the biggest problem in, the entire chain, and what should be addressed first and foremost?
Too many bosses, not enough leaders. Because if they were truly leaders, then we wouldn't be having this problem. Because if they say, oh, well, we can't find black and brown people of color talent and we can't find women, First and foremost, black and brown people of color, we've been in this country for literally centuries, right? Women have been in this country for a century. It's not like, our spaceship just kind of landed and we're this new type of people. We've been here forever. The problem is, Mike, it boils down to the relinquishment of power. We need to look at the structures that have been put in place by people that only thought about themselves. We have to show them all the red flags and the microcosms and the standard operating procedures that only really spoke to white men. That's it. 38% of companies that have diverse teams do better than companies that do not. Bringing the same people to the table to do the same thing over and over again is not creative. It's not innovative.
What should the advertising industry look like and feel like at the point in time when you can say and take a step back that my work is done here?
I don't think there's going to be a time for me to take a step back, because it's just not going to happen in my lifetime. It's honestly going to take 30 to 40 years for this to really turn around, because basically if you look at the advertising industry, it's been around for over 150 years. You can't try to jump and make this an overnight solution, right? It's just not going to work when this problem is literally decades and decades and decades old. So you can't think, oh, we just need to hire more black and brown people and we need to put more women in leadership roles. Let's do that. But you can't do that if the last maybe 100 years you haven't done that.
One could say that it is, first and foremost, a senior management problem, because there are not leaders that are leading the charge to actually fix this problem.
When you see all these big jobs coming forth about diversity, there's probably a 9 out of 10 chance you're going to hire that person as a person of color. But basically, you're going to put all your diversity problems on them. But the thing is, that person of color or woman did not make your diversity problems. You did. The people that are CEOs and CTOs and head of HRs that have known about these problems for years are actually the ones that created the problems, because they turned a blind eye. Diversity and inclusion doesn't really matter if you've never benefited from a diverse environment. And inclusion doesn't really matter if you've never really had to stand up for anyone that's been disenfranchised because they're a different gender, race, sexual orientation, whatever the case may be. Diversity and inclusion does not matter if none of those things ever happen to you.
How far and how aggressive should agencies be and trying to get to more parity around representation.
It's a lot of talk right now and a lot of pledges, but pledges doesn't change the systems. Agencies do a really good job at flooding the bottom with great individuals like all of you on the call today. But the thing is, the people that are allowed at the bottom do not control the resources to change the systems. They very much take their time and pick and choose when they want to develop you and let you take those steps to get higher within those organizations. So you need to empower your employees of color. You need to educate your employees of color. You need to evolve your employees of color. And of course, the equity part, you need to pay your employees of color and your women.
Another argument could be that it is a supply issue, meaning that the talent pool within the advertising industry just isn't big enough for people of color in being considered for roles.
Where are you going to find these people? If you haven't been developing and hiring these people in the first place, then there's going to be a lot of people that are not qualified. And unfortunately, advertising is not a career that's put in front of young people of color, Black and brown people of color. And without it being front and center, like even before you get to college, if you don't really know about the business and how it works and all the different functions, like when you get to college, maybe you might be interested in it. And then, but then you're trying to catch up to everyone that's already been exposed to it, because there's organizations that are school biased. If your school isn't really known for putting out advertising students, they're not looking at you. Creativity comes from everywhere. And beautiful people come from everywhere. They come in all shapes and sizes, colors, and everything.
I can't thank Keni enough for being so generous with his time. He literally inspired over 150 advertising students, the future leaders of our industry, last week. They told me it was the highlight of their entire week. So thank you, Keni. If you found this video valuable, share it with your colleagues, and please like and subscribe. And I will see you next week for episode 2 of the CMO Weekly.